Bust it.
What?
What are you doing?
I'm working here.
You call this working?
Of course.
Oh my god.
Well, let me explain.
Explain what?
Come here, I'll tell you. Have you ever wondered how famous games can speak fluently in some languages? And to do so, it involves a step called game localization. And to understand more about it, today we're going to talk about it. In today's video, Thao Company will bring you an in-depth process of localizing a game. But in this video, we go in the first stage, is getting familiar with the game we are working on. But first thing first, we have to understand the basics. What is game localization? Game localization is the process that we translate every element content inside the game from the source language into the target language in order to create the best experience for gamers from the target country we want to be. And it involves usually 3 stages. First is getting familiar, researching, and preparation. Second is we're doing the actual translation, and third with the post-edit and testing. To help you guys visualize better, we are happy to introduce you about our ongoing project, which is Delta Force. Delta Force is a strategic FPS coming from Team Jade from China. And we are very happy to be able to help this game get into Vietnam. And our current project is translating the game from English, the global version, to Vietnamese. Okay, so the main topic of our video today is getting familiar with the game. The first stage of translating or localizing a game will involve around translator trying to understand the content, the elements they will be working on. And to do so, a translator needs to research, read the content, and maybe expose themselves to the elements inside the game to gain more in-depth understanding so they can have a proper translation. And during this stage, we will be reading through the content and also receive the glossary from our clients. And we also have to read that in order to understand what are the challenges that we might face in the future in this project. After having the basic understanding of the content we're going to work on, we now can be able to research about it. And there are 2 steps for translator to apply in researching the content we are working on. The first step is searching for it on the internet. Well, the internet is a vast knowledge bank and we can search almost anything on it. And as I mentioned before, most of the items and the weapons are based on real-life counterparts. So it's not quite a challenge for us to search it on the internet. However, it's also struggle if we found some elements that only specific to the game, and it will cause a lot of challenge for us if we try only based on the internet. For example, the Wolf Triple Blaster. Well, at first, when we stumbled across this, we thought it's like a triple barrel gun or cannon. But after a while, we stumbled across a video talking about it on the Delta Force official channel, and we just realized that we translated incorrectly. It is a cannon that shoots 3 rounds consecutively, not 3-barrel cannon. But like what I said before, there will be some content that will not be covered on the internet. So how would we do it? So that is where field trips come in handy. Like when we have something that is not covered on the internet, we would try our best to access the game. In this case, we are lucky enough to gain the early access of the game global, and doing so we are able to expose ourselves into the environment, understand it more, and by doing so we can experiment with the elements we want or we are going to translate. This not only make us gain more insightful details like how would the gamers see in the game, and not only that, we can experiment with our translation, like it is long enough or it's too short or it's obstructing other player views. So it is a lot more freedom comparing to the previous is that we only get the content from the internet. But there's some drawbacks in this field trip is it will take a lot of time if we don't know what we are doing. Like there's a vast vast item inside the game and we don't know where is it or what we are working on, we might take hours trying to find it before understand it. As you can see, the first step is always the most important step because it will lay down the solid foundation for us to work on the future. And doing so with a good foundation, we can face any challenges without ease. And we will get the big pictures while searching on the internet and then narrow it down through filters. Now you understand what I was doing back then in the first part of the video. I'm not actually playing, but I'm doing my field trips, studying about the games, the content about it. And it was about gear tickets. At first, when we stumble across gear tickets, there's no material available on the internet because Delta Force hasn't been released yet, even beta, so there's practically impossible for us to understand what gear tickets are. And through these field trips, I understand it is used for buying sets of equipment extremely quickly. So after those field trips, we are now have our knowledge expanded. And through doing so, we also created a guidelines that will help us tackling with other problems that might encounter in the future. Now you can see translator needs to prepare a lot of materials like glossary, understanding the content, and then term-based, furthermore guidelines about how we face our challenge in the future. And the next video, we're going to talk about the most crucial part of the localizing a game project, and that is translating the content. Press like, subscribe so you don't miss our next video. Bye bye.